Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Morning Gardener. Sitting up here thinking of some of the things I've been doing in the garden lately. I've been cutting my fruit trees, pruning them rough. I mean, really going at them really aggressively. I had a situation where I was gone for about a year from the country, and the trees were actually what they call it. They've gotten quite tall, 21 and 22 feet tall dwarf trees. And when they got that tall, I said to myself, well, I better get these trees back down in height. So I bought a pole saw, uh, not the manual one, but one that would a chainsaw type deal. And I brought some of the trees down to 10 feet. But I'm looking at the trees again, and I'm saying I want to do more. And I know that they recommend a lot of times when you're online and you hear people say in one single cutting don't do no more than 20%, some say no more than 30%. But I think what I'm going to do is try to at least cut off uh, 30% of the tree down and get those under control. And I took the fruit tree, my cherry tree, and I brought it down to about 5 feet. I think I did about 5 feet. So that being said, I want to see how it turns out, how it grows back. Because when I started cutting on it, and this is what I want some of you to hear, is that for years, let's go about 5 or 6 years, the cherry tree never did anything. It just grew. It was healthy, strong, very thick uh, trunk. And I thought, wow, this is great that it's healthy, but it never blossoms. It never produces anything. This year, it acted different when I simply pruned it heavily. It actually blossomed for the first time, and it was a lot of beautiful blossoms all over it. And I went over to my apple trees where there's like I grew three in a cluster, uh, which was they were all 21 inches apart. And when I grew them, they when I cut the when I did a heading cut on them, they all blossomed, all of them. But all my other apple trees that are planted on the property that are the same age and some are older, none of them that were not um, pruned, none of them produced any blossoms this year as of yet. And I thought that was quite interesting. So that all the trees that blossomed quickly were the ones that were pruned heavily as the weather started changing from very cold weather to warmer weather. They actually started blooming. And so I thought that was interesting. I have a pear tree that I'm going to bring from 20 some feet down to, I'm going to bring it down to about 6 feet and let it produce this year on the branches that are left. And that's what I'm going to do. And I like the way that I prune is somewhat different than most people in some of the videos you've seen prune. They they go at it and they say uh, prune this off and prune that off and make sure you leave uh, a big enough hole so the sun can get in all that. And I think a lot of that is true. But everyone prunes differently. I'm learning that, and some only prune in the winter, some only prune in the summer. Some say you can prune either way. So it's a lot of information out there floating around that's got me going. Wait a minute, this is not um, this is not. I mean, they're telling you stuff that they've heard and the videos that they've seen. That's how I look at it. But when I did my own thing on my own trees, I saw what it did. Less than days, those trees started blossoming because they were being attacked by whatever it was, which was that chainsaw. And I cut them. I did heading cuts. I got rid of dead wood that was in them. Um, I brought down the size of the trees so I can get around them and everything because they were really kind of taking over like a gangly plant. So I said, wait a minute. I got to thinking, back as I normally would do with most of our plants. I said, there's no law written that say I have to get let these trees get big and out of control. Um, no, I could simply use all them tools I have and keep these trees well manicured, out of the pathways, um, down to the level where I can manage them better. And that's how I want to do my trees. And when I got to that point, I'm starting to see more out of my trees. I'm starting to see more happen that is really a better deal, I think. But when I saw the machinery pruning trees, I liked it because there was no guy on video going, okay, this one here and this one here, and then, oh, I gotta get that right above that uh, that bud and right below the bud, and there was none of that. It was just a machine that drove by and just said, these trees are going to be this far in this direction. These trees are going to be this height, all of them together. It just went across the top, and I thought that was something that I could relate to, and I liked it. So I went out there and mimicked the power tools and did the exact same thing. It just went through it. I actually pruned some of my grapevine and made additional grapevines from it. Well, actually, one additional, but I made others, but they didn't root. One rooted, and that was a free plant, so I'll put that in the ground very soon. And when I put it in the ground, I'll get it up and growing, and get a nice long uh, stationary area where I could tie it to and keep it growing how I want it to grow. And so that that's a red grape. I can't think of the name of it at this moment. That's a red grape, and it is a grape that I picked up at Walmart for $1 and something. Yeah, that felt good for $1 and something because it was one that was after everybody bought all the plants. They left the ones up there that was turning brown, and the ones up there that was that no one wanted because it wasn't the prettiest and um, it wasn't the longest vine. It was broken off and everything. And I saw that, so I went to the manager and I said to him, I said, "Listen, you have some plants out here, uh, raspberries and grapevines and that sort of thing. Um, they on the clearance rack." He said, "Take what you want for $1 a plant." I said, "Okay." I went up there and got two grapevines, and I didn't get the other things. I just got what I knew I wanted. Two grapevines, $1 each. Got them home, watered them good, and when I watered them good, I took the plants and gave them a nice liquid tea of compost. Put it in a hole, and the plant loved it. It took off. like 2, 3 days later, it started recovering. You could see it, new leaves coming out, new vine pushing forward. And I said, yeah, I got it. It'll live now for $1, and they normally sold for $10 a plant. So it feels good to get a break sometime. All right, good night, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Morning Gardener.